in European law, of course, but I'm also a law, and especially of the matters of bioethics. So the courses will be a general way, and the scope of these courses is to discuss with you some bioethical topics concerning the European Union integration and the European governance in the light of the new biotic challenges, such as European space of health data protection, with the special reference to the European Union Court of Justice case law within the specific topics on this point, in particularly of the protection of the personal data, of the personal data protection within the European Union case law. So I know that we are not that you are not a lawyer, and I would just want to explain you in how to explain in a general way what the bioethic is and what are the ethic challenges within the new within the European Union. Within the European Union legal system, but also with the member states. So I will, for these courses, I will try to explain you what the bioethic is, how it functions within the European Union, the national law, and of course, to explain the different topics I will discuss with you during the different courses. So, do you have any questions about until? Do you have any question, any remarks about? Everything is okay? Everything is clear? Okay, so today I will try to introduce in the special way what's the bioethics and the connection, the links connection with the law, and to explain that the bioethics law is a special one, is not only the law, the ordinary law, but it's a special one because of the matters, Of course, the bioethics is a complex subject, the project of multidisciplinary reflection, and is not a spontaneous subject. Indeed, the bioethics as a discipline was conceived in the second half of the 20th century, and it was the project of an intellectual construction driven by ethical questions raised by advances and practices in the life sciences, research, and biological, medical, or genetic techniques in the field of living organisms. Specifically, after the Second War, this new discipline was focused especially on the human being, in order to prohibit the medical experiences to human being, in connection, of course, with what was happening during the Second War. This questioning was made all the more acute by the multiplication and diversification of uses, therapeutic, scientific, and other, of different elements of the human body. If the human body represents an issue of power, it is an object of domination and regulation for the state. And this notion of biopolitics, which proved its relevance during the health crisis provoked by the COVID pandemic, refers precisely to this form of intervention and control by state political power over the living, over the body of the individual, over its hygiene, health, reproduction, and of course, mortality. And on the other hand, the application of its procedures to populations and no longer to individuals as such. The various public policies on health, biotechnology, and biomedicine also tend to extend the idea of this new development of biopolitics. Do you hear me? Everything is okay? Okay, everything is okay? Do you have any questions about? Do you understand what I'm exactly mean about this new topic concerning the biopolitics and the European and the biotics as all? Okay, let's continue. The influence of knowledge, technical expertise of the states leads to the development of legal norms that form a bio-law or bioethics law, which represents a normative response to the biological challenges. This is my introductive propose, but now I will try to explain the links between bioethics and law. Bioethics affects the law and law affects bioethics. Indeed, the growing interest in bioethics has given rise to a particularly rich and diverse body of law, including in terms of form, combining binding and flexible law, as well as national, regional, and international law. The interaction of legal system in this area suggests that bio-law is to some extent a multi-level law. Various issues relating to the human body are traditionally seen as an attribute of state sovereignty. Bio-law is not just a national issue. Bioethics is no exception to the trend towards the Europeanization of law. European Union is one of the main legal and institutional arenas for the production of bioethics law. In addition to the privileged framework provided by the Council of Europe, the European Union is increasingly asserting itself as a formal and substantial source of bioethics law. Nevertheless, the very idea of a European Union law on bioethics is not evident. Some might consider that the European organization is neither competent nor legitimate in this area. But in this way, I have to underline this point. The European Union is not competent to produce legal norms within the bioethics, but European Union constitutes a very relevant area for the bioethics, for ethics debate. And I will I will show you on which procedure it will be necessary to explain how the European Union constitutes today the legal space, the relevant space of the dialogue, of the biotic dialogues. For example, the European space of health data, for example, or for donation of elements of human body and the free movement of these elements of the human body. The questions raised by the protection of the data of personal data, personal data within the conception of within with the right of self-determination and the free decision concerning our body. This is the European Union. What is my proposal is not to talk about like a European Union necessary to produce a bylaw. No, it's only to explain how the European Union contribute to develop, to improve the ethic debate within the member states legal system. And in this point, the European institutions are relevant level one for to impulse this, to impulse and to improve such a dialogue. It's not the European Union have not to legislate in the place of the member states, but only to provoke the ethic debate and to promote this debate not only at the level of the member states, but only at the level of the citizens, of the European citizens, which are within the European law the former actors of this bio law within at the European Union law. For example, I could just say, I could just stress the free movement of patients and the possibility to access to a cross-border medical care, even if this medical care is provided by the national law. So this is why the European Union constitute today a new place, a new area, a new forum for the discussion for the discussion of the European of the ethical challenges within the European and the member states. That's why the bioethic does not formally fall within the remit of the competence of the space of the normative action of the European Union. Indeed, the European Union has not expressed legal basis for action in the field of bioethics. It is true that member states are reluctant to transfer their competencies in this area, which is driven by issues of an axiological nature that are markers of national identity and sovereignty. However, the extension of the Union's competencies beyond economic and commercial issues has led, by ricochet, to bioethics becoming an object of community of Union action. Not only has the Union's sphere of competence expanded to include its sectors driven by certain bioethical considerations, research and technological development, consumer protection, the environment and health, but the objective of completing the common market has justified legislative intervention by the Union in relation to living organisms and their conciliation of economic development and the protection of human health. The question for competitiveness in medical research, particularly through biotechnology, the free movement of projects of the human body, and patients' access to cross-border care are all areas where the completion of the single market requires ethical consideration to be taken into account. Consequently, despite the absence of explicit competence, the European Union has gradually asserted its bioethics requirements throughout its health policies, patients' rights, free movement of health projects, and research funding policies. However, this progress needs to be tempered, as the treaties of European Union place a significant limit on it in terms of respect for the national identities of the member states and for the principle of subsidiarity and for their competencies. So, the member states have the essential prerogatives to legislate in ethical matters. Thus justifies, to a certain extent, the Union's cautious approach to the development of bioethics law. So the bioethics law will be developed not only by the legislative acts, such as, for example, directive or regulation. It will be at least it will be the more important legislative intervention of the European Union. But the European Union bioethics law will be developed thanks to the action of the European Union institutions in order to develop, to promote the ethical debate within the new challenges of biotechnologies, new therapies, new medicines, etc., etc., and new challenges, of course, of the health data protection. So, the EU institutions are traditionally very cautious when it comes to issues that touch on ethical issues. This approach seems to betray the idea that the European Union is not necessarily a standard-setting body likely to foster consensus.
Ёбище неделя, я его ненавижу. Смотри на эти форточки, блядь, везде. Блядь. Еще физра потом через 1,5 часа после того.
Excuse me? Excuse me? I could not understand what you talk about. Could you repeat in English, please? Excuse me, everything is okay? Because I have some interpretation and I want to know if we have any questions about my proposal. It's okay?
Sorry,
Excuse me in English, please, because I could not understand what tell me. Could you follow me what I'm exactly mean, what I want to explain to you with these courses, and to explain the new ethical challenges within the European Union, and not only of the legal point of view, but also of the ethical, moral, technological, biological point of view. Do you understand what I want to explain to you? If you have any questions, don't hesitate. Everything is okay? Okay, I will follow. And so if you have any question, don't hesitate to to interrupt me and to ask the questions. And it will be great for me it will be great for me to respond to these questions. Okay, everything is okay. Okay, I will follow in if you have any question, don't hesitate. So, my proposal was that the European Union institutions are traditionally very cautious when it comes to issues that touch on ethical issues. This approach seems to betray the idea that the European Union is not necessarily a standard-setting body likely to foster consensus on issues that are, by their very nature, highly divisive. Apart from the problems of the unions to characterize national bioethics within the union itself. Bioethics is an area still marked by disparities in national practices and legislation, which themselves reflect the pervasive diversity of cultural, legal, and religious tradition. This situation has led to delays in transposing certain directives, such as Directive 98/44 of the European Parliament and of the Council of 6 July 1998 on the legal protection of biotechnological inventions. The sensitive nature of the issues involved in bioethics contrast with the essentially procedural and pragmatic, as it were, destabilizing regulation provided by the European Union. It is a question of revealing the technological rather than ontological identity of bioethics law. That is not necessary to seek an answer to the question of the moral legitimacy of the practices it regulates, but only to that of their legality. In addition to the legal question of the legal basis for European Union intervention in the field of bioethics, it is the very legitimacy of their relationship that raises questions. What is the link between bioethics and integrating organization whose original function is imbued with an economic and commercial rationale? Between freedom of research and respect for human dignity, between the single market and the union based on the rule of law, the integration organization could not ignore bioethics reflection. Bioethics is at the heart of the dialectical relationship between market freedoms and human rights, between the mechanism for protecting fundamental rights and those of the market, between the economic logic of free trade and anti-liberal impulses derived in particular from ethical imperatives, between market values and not market values. Furthermore, while the objective of the single market is still prevalent within the Union's legal order, it is now supplemented by axiological considerations and public policy limits that the member states and the Union's bodies set with regard to its economic freedoms. The development of European Union law and policies in the field of bioethics is still based on the yardstick of a single market, whose fundamental economic freedoms require the free movement of goods and persons. The tensions that make up European Union bioethics law crystallize precisely in the legal regulation of the internal market, around the relationship between economic freedoms and fundamental rights, and between market and not market values. Within the European legal order, the transnational regulatory function of the law here consists of reconciling, on the other hand, economic freedoms and the freedom of research and scientific expertise, and on the other hand, the preservation of fundamental human rights. The result is a body of rules made up of potentially anti-liberal measures that are likely to instill a real paradigm shift in relation to the economic and commercial logic that structures the single market order. The balancing of conflicting values and interests provides the basis for the main sources of law that make up the corpus of European Union bioethics law, a framework for compromise between sometimes contradictory requirements in search of a balance reflected in the articulation between principles and their exceptions. Bioethics is an example of the limits placed on freedom of movement within the transnational framework of the European Union. So, the particularity of the European Union within the bioethics and the bio law of European Union is the transnationality of the situations of the context where will be raised the ethic challenges such as the free autonomy of and the right to free movement and to access to medical care, to cross-border medical care. This is the particularity and how to apprehend these ethics challenges in the context of a transnationality and how to solve the legal problem raised in this situation, such as, for example, to access to medical assisted reproduction or surrogacy in other member states, and to return with this new situation, to member states of origin. How does the member states of origin have to decide to solve the legal problem of the recognition, for example, of the filiation between two mothers, or to recognize the change of sex, the change of sex? What will be the duty of the member states where these medical activities are prohibited, and how to explain this, to decide for the ethical solutions to the human, to the person, which has moved within, which has circulated, exercises its right to free movement within the European Union. And thanks to this free movement, this person had to access to medical care provided in his or her member states of origin. This is the complicated legal situations, and this is thanks to the European Union law and the quality of citizens of European citizens. And now the European citizens contest, could contest the national national positions on bioethics, on ethics within the scientific research, within the medical activities, and contest because they could free movement, they could free circulate within the European Union, through the European Union, and to go to other member states and to access to another medical care, which is provided within the member states of origin. This is how to explain. This is the core situation of the European Union on bioethics. How the European Union law has to solve these problems of conflict between two member states with different ethics position, ethics law. And within the European, an area without internal borders, citizens of the Union have the capacity to act on a transnational level, the capacity to acquire goods, to produce, the capacity of companies and the individuals to establish themselves and register, the capacity to marry, to care for themselves, to travel, to study, to participate in economic, social, and political life of any of the societies making up the Union. As an area of mobility based on freedom of movement, the single market is a framework for cross-border flows that can become a means of circumventing national legislation. The free movement of people and services, particularly medical services, within the European Union, is thus fueling a phenomenon of normative competition in the form of medical tourism, bioethics tourism, or law shopping that affects the effectiveness of national bioethics law. This type of phenomenon legitimizes the need for European convergence on major ethical issues. Bioethic consideration and issues in European Union law are not limited to the economic framework of the single market. In other words, European Union bioethics law is not a sub-branch of the European Union economic law, but an autonomous branch that helps to underline the breadth of the European integration project. The Union's bioethics law has its roots in the not market values of the organization and its member states, and conversely, its development consolidates the axiological and political dimension of the Union. Although the original treaties were marked by the absence of any reference to values and fundamental rights, even though they were part of peace process. Following a slow evolution, the integration organization, European Union, is now based on an axiological corpus, on values common to the member states and constitutive of its own identity. The affirmation of the European Union as a union of values and a union governed by the rule of law establishes a link between the appearance or nature of the integration organization and the development of bioethics law within its own legal system. The legalization of ethical principles inspired the recognition of the new fundamental rights designed to protect human dignity, and the heart of the twofold movement, interlinked, of a constitutionalization and axiologization of the Union's legal order. The consecration of human dignity has strengthened the legitimacy justification of a Union law on bioethics in the absence of an express legal basis or the Union's own competence in this area. Respect for human dignity is the conceptual matrix of bioethics law. This value and these fundamental rights also play a role in the legal order of the European Union, combined with the economic freedom and freedom of movement that make up the single market. Respect for human dignity permeates the corpus of European Union bioethics law, which is nourished by sources of case law. The Court of Justice has had to rule on issues such as abortion, medically assisted procreation, transition of sex and gender, and the definition of the embryo, and written sources consisting of binding legal instruments, essentially as said, directives and regulation, or instruments of a recommendatory, assumptive, or advisory nature, recommendations and resolution of the European Parliament, but also opinion of the European Group on Ethics. European Union law on bioethics gives concrete expression to the discourse of the institutions and their solemn commitment to bioethical issues, which have become a major concern in the construction of the European Union's legal order. It is also striking to note that this institutional discourse is not late in comparison with what has been observed within the member states with regard to bioethics. In this way, and it's important to stress, there is a chronological coincidence between the birth and emergence of ethical reflection within the European Union institutions and the member states' awareness of bioethical issues in their domestic legal systems. Since the 1980s, the European Parliament has shown a willingness to debate and influence bioethical issues. While the first position were also taken on developments in biotechnology, the European Parliament quickly became interested in the ethical and legal problems posed by genetic manipulation, in vitro fertilization, and cloning. As for the Commission, it was in the field of research and technological development that it first incorporated the formulation of ethical consideration into the community decision-making process. Awareness of the questions and ethical issues raised by this third type of research also led to the creation by the Commission in 1991 of the Group of Advisors on Ethics and Biotechnology. Its replacement in 1998 by the European Group on Ethics in Science and New Technologies, so as said, European Group on Ethics, marks a move towards institutionalizing bioethics within the European Union. The European Council, for its part, has also followed this trend, and is clearly committed to ethical reflection. This is evidenced by its declaration on the prohibition of human cloning, adopted at its formal meeting on 16 and 17 June 1997, and to approve the draft Treaty of Amsterdam. This declaration was adopted on French initiative and the instigation of the French National Consultative Ethics Committee. It is both a strong symbol of the solemn commitment of the institutions of the Union and its member states, and of the place that the ethical issues must occupy in the construction of the Union's legal order. In view of the institutionalization of the European Council by the Treaty of Lisbon and the strengthening of its political role in the legislative process, the attention of the European Union institutions was initially focused on guaranteeing respect for ethical principles in relation to biotechnological invention in general and genetically modified organisms in particular. The latter have already been the subjects of various regulations and directives covering issues relating to their content used, their deliberated release, foodstuffs produced from them, and the transnational nature of the risk associated with their handling. The genetically modified organism can reproduce and cross national borders and affect another member states. While research on the human embryo, therapeutic cloning, and reproductive cloning have played a particular role in mobilizing the Union on bioethical issues. The Charter of the Fundamental Rights, seen in 2000, marks a turning point in the relation between European Union law and bioethics. It expressly and specifically incorporates bioethical consideration. And now the treaty, the Treaty of European Union, invest a field of bioethics in which the primary law of the Union remained incomplete or uncertain. This text, which is constitutional in nature, does not consist of a set of norms enabling the Union legislature. The fact remains that the Charter, together with Article 2 of the Treaty on European Union, on the values of the Union, has now an influence on the exercise of the competencies conferred on the Union by obliging its institutions to take bioethics into consideration in the exercise of the European Union competences. The very emergence of existence of European Union law is based on a body of legal text and rules dealing with ethical issues that has been developed in a way that is influenced by technical, procedural, and economic variables and consideration. European Union bioethics law may therefore appear to be more formal than substantive, given the proportion of procedures and methods it contains. As a result, it is the substance of the law that raises questions, due both to the difficulty of precisely determining the scope of the subject and to the fragmentation of sources that are explicitly and directly linked to bioethical requirements. And this highly composite body of law is characterized by the diversity of its legal basis in its nature, the single weight of case law and soft law, and in its effects, direct or indirect effect, the fragmentation of the sources of the European Union bioethics law, which is also true of international law, is itself linked to an empirical, factual phenomenon. The great diversity of practices and situations covered by bioethics as a whole, biomedical tourism, in particular reproductive tourism, import and export of tissues, cells, and DNA samples of the human body, the donation and use of elements from the human body, organs and gametes, medically assisted procreation, genetic testing, biomedical research on human beings, cloning, patents, and so on. This hinders a comprehensive approach to the relationship between European Union law and bioethics, and an overall understanding of the reference to bioethics in European Union law. In this respect, it is still difficult to speak of a European Union law on bioethics in the sense of homogeneous and autonomous normative system. The ambition of the courses is precisely to test, restore in order on the basis of new systematization and putting into perspective a corpus of principles, rules, procedure, and methods developed by the policies and the law of the European Union. This is an undertaking whose raw material, bioethics, is conceived here as an ethical questioning of the progress and practices of biology and medicine, while the European Union law is one means, among others, of providing some answers. So, this will be the purpose of my courses, and I will try to explain this different perspective in the light of the different examples, in the light of the European Union case law, and in the light of the evolution of the European Union position on this respect. And of course, to see how the member states reserve this position and how to conciliate the different challenges and the different position, ethical position on this point. So it will be the medically assisted protection, abortion. It will be the topics of the courses: medical assisted protection, abortion, including abortion, the recognition of how to explore, to define the family, the family unity. And of course, the donation, it is the donation. And the fourth and the last topic, it will be the protection and the creation of the European data, the health data space. I think it will be important to present this point, because is the new challenge of the European Union construction, and how the member states have to involve in this process, and to modify the national legislation. So I will give you 7 minutes to break if you want. I will break to take some bread and some cup of water, and I will join you just in 7 minutes. It will be okay for you?
Yes.
Yes, everything is okay. Could you follow me when I'm speaking? I'm speaking so fast, or everything is okay? Do you have any questions? Don't hesitate, because it's very complicated to give these courses online, in English. So I don't know you anymore. So I think it's complicated for you and for me to discuss this new topic. So in my opinion, it will be better to dialogue, to exchange, in better to improve my courses, my speeches, and in order for you to understand different topics in this way. So okay, the development. So in the conclusive remarks for these first courses, I will say that the development of the European Union law on bioethics is the expression of the axiological dimension of the integration, of the European integration, based in particular on the value of the human dignity. We have therefore chosen to take a detailed approach to bioethics, the development of scientific progress applied to man, to the human being, and the way in which European Union deals with this issue. This approach may seem a restrictive one, since European Union law was first interested in related issues affecting non-human living organisms, whether plants or animals. This is largely explained by the material scope of the treaties, if only because of the exponential development of the common agricultural policy and the current scale of environmental issues and their consequences for human health, in particular endocrine disruptors. In this way, there is already a clearly identified body of law designed to organize human activities in relation to living organisms, to which we might add ethically, that its purpose is to contribute to the protection of living organisms. However, when it comes to living human beings, European Union law has taken only a secondary interest. References to bioethics are rather modest, which contrasts sharply with the place that the European Union law accords to the individual in his or her capacity as a subject of European law, as a citizen of the Union. The Directive 98/44 mentions above on the legal protection of biotechnological inventions
I'm sorry. Please, microphone turned off.
I'm so sorry, excuse me. I'm so sorry. Do you have, I will, okay. So I have to repeat what I said, yes? Do you think that I have to repeat what I'm saying? Okay. 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 Okay, I will, I will repeat what I'm saying. The development of the European Union law on bioethics is the expression of the axiological dimension of the integration project, based in particular on the value of human dignity. We have therefore chosen to take a detailed approach to bioethics, the development of scientific progress applied to man, to the human being, and the way in which European Union law deals with this issue. This approach may seem restrictive one, since European Union law was first interested in related issues affecting non-human living organisms, whether plants or animals. This is largely explained by the material scope of the treaties, if only because of the exponential development of the common agriculture policy and the current scale of environmental issues and their consequences for human health, in particular endocrine disruptors. In this way, there is already a clearly identified body of law designed to organize human activities in relation to living organisms to which we might aid ethically, that its purpose is to contribute to the protection of living organisms. However, when it comes to living human beings, European Union law has taken only a secondary interest. Reference to bioethics are rather modest, which contrast sharply with the place that the European Union law accords to the individual in his or her capacity as a subject of European Union law and as a citizens of the Union. Directive 98/44 on the legal protection of biotechnological inventions was the first legal recognition of ethical reflection on scientific research and its implication for human beings. Moreover, European Union law, on bioethics is essentially presented from this angle, with the conception of the human being becoming a limit to the commercial exploitation of technological inventions. While this approach to analysis is justified, it is no longer the only one possible. This is borne out by the development of health policy within the European Union and the issues at stake, given that the citizen patient can move freely and consequently can participate freely in medical activities. At the root of this freedom of movement, European Union law no longer ignores bioethical consideration. It even reveals them by inviting the member states to take up these questions, since in institutional and material framework does not give it all the legitimacy or all the possibility of doing so on their behalf. It is this change of paradigm that that I wish to present during the courses, which will provide a reading grid whenever an ethical question arises. The aim of this systematization is also to demonstrate that the European Union becomes a relevant area for the ethical debates, and consequently, the European Union bioethics law is becoming so autonomous that it now constitutes a named branch of the law of the European Union. So, and the bioethics, okay? So for the next courses, we are going to discuss different topics. The first one, it will be the topic, it will be the first one, the connection of bioethics with the health policy of the European Union, with different reference of the case law. I will send you. The second, they will be the ethical issues, the free movement of person, voluntary termination of pregnancy, medically assisted procreation, surrogacy, and social protection for women, the status of the child resulting from an in vitro procedure, and the third topic, it will be exercising economic activity within the European Union and bioethics. And the last one, it will be the ethical issues of the health data protection. So I will send you in the chat, if you agree, my my syllabus, my schedule concerning the courses, and we are going to discuss. I will give you a time, of course, the different case law to explain the new challenges and the new legal issues about the European Union, and about the different challenges brought before the European Court of Justice. Brought before the European Court of Justice. So, do you agree with this trend of the courses? We have to work together, and I think it is the better way to it's the better way to work together and to explain this new discipline and these new courses. So I will try to send you. I don't know why I could not send you a message. Don't care about. I will send this. I don't know why, because I'm not. Yes, because I'm not the organizer of the meeting on Teams. It not will be possible for me. Tatiana, do you hear me? I don't think she hears. I don't think she hears. So the problem. So I will send it to Madame Kuharuk my syllabus, and she will resend you again. Okay, I will send to to Sylvia. 1 second. And for the next time, I will try to explain the connection between the bioethics and the European policy on health, and what exactly it's mean, what is the connection, what is the different topics and the different challenges on this way. So for the 5 last minutes, I just want to ask you if you have any questions about, if you want to ask me something, to precise, to explain. So let's discuss together about what you hearing today. Do you have any questions? Do you understand what I'm exactly meaning? Because I think that we are not lawyers, so I want to know if this my proposal is relevant for you. Do you understand what I'm exactly mean? What what your intentions were for these courses, and etc. And so I saw. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? Everything is okay? Do you have any questions? Everything is okay? Do you understand what exactly I'm saying?
Excuse me, do you see the chat?
Excuse me?
Do you see the chat?
No,
Here
I
on
don't.
Teams.
I don't know. I don't
Okay,
know why. I
okay.
don't know. I'm so sorry. But if you want, I will. I'm so sorry. I don't know. I don't know why. I think because I'm not the organizer of the team of the meeting. So don't hesitate to send me a message if you want by mail. I will give you my address. But I don't know have the chat, and I don't know why. I don't know why I don't. Do you you send me a message by the chat?
Yes, and we
Yeah.
don't have any questions. Everything
Yes.
is clear.
Okay. I don't know how to. I could not even give my my email address because I don't have. I couldn't use the chat. I don't know why. So I don't know how to send this. So 1 second. No, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know how. What exactly your question was? Were excuse
Sorry.
me.
Sorry.
Yes.
I don't speak English, but we have a chat. Too.
Yes, I know, but I couldn't not use it. I don't know why. I want to chat you because I have the conversation, but I don't know. I couldn't use. I think because I'm not the organizer of the team. Do you understand what I mean? I was invited to participate to the meeting. Do you understand? I could not.
Okay.
She asked me, the conversation is not available, and for the meetings for this canal, only the members of the teams could access to the conversation. I'm not the member of the meeting. Do you understand what I mean? I could not use the chat. I don't know why. Maybe because I have a particular status of inviting, so I'm not added as a member of the. Do you understand what I mean? And what exactly tell me what about your question? What exactly do you want to?
We don't have any questions.
Yes, about.
No, we don't have any questions.
We don't have any questions.
Yeah.
Okay. So I send at this moment I'm talking about my syllabus, my schedule to Madame Kuharuk. I think that she will send you in today maybe, and I will ask her to authorize the access for me for the chat in order to communicate with you during the courses, and not only and not only to speak each other like this. But do you understand why I'm speaking English? Because I'm not native speaker English, so I give my courses in French, so I try to do my best to give it in English, but sometimes it could be difficult to understand what I exactly mean. So don't hesitate to ask me. Don't hesitate if you want to discuss another point about the bioethics, because I know that we are coming from scientific university. Yes, right? I don't know. She told me she will be with this for the University of Biology. Is right or doesn't right?
Yeah, exactly. Biology.
Yes, and do you understand when I talk about the European Union integration? European Union, do you understand why I put the accent on this topic and the importance of the relevant importance to talk to think to discuss on this point at the European Union level? Do you understand it or?
Yes, we understand. We had some
Yes.
classes
Yes, for
about
English, it's
bioethics.
okay.
It's okay, because the more important point is this particular of the free movement of persons, and the free access to the cross medical care and medical activities, which were forbidden in the member states of origin. There is a particular problems, because how to how to have a comprehensive approach about the European Union law, the development of the relevant normative system, because the bioethics is not the legal system, because they're religious, ethical, moral, and of course legal approach. So it's not the only one. It's the biotechnological, the medical activities, etc. It's okay for you, this approach? Do you understand what I exactly mean?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, but don't hesitate to tell me no, okay? If that's not the case, it will be great to clarify such a position, such points. It is the courses to help for general culture, for you to discuss some problems and to see another point of view. That is the only objective of the aim, the formal aim of the courses, not to give you how to. That's the way we have to see the bioethics, and only to provoke some discussion, some reflection on these issues, and the involvement of the national legal systems within the European Union, because the national legal system could not be apprehended today only through the member state, okay, by the states, okay. The transnational connection, transnational situation, even in the field of bioethics, okay. It's okay for you? It's perfect.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. So I'm glad, but don't hesitate if you could not understand something, if some points merit to be developed, to explain, to clarify. It will be okay for me. I will be happy to help you, okay? And to provoke
Okay,
the
thank you.
discussion with you. Okay. It's my purpose, so it's okay. Okay, thank you very much for your attention for today, and see you next week. And for the next week, I think that we're going to have very quickly my schedule for the courses with the different documents. And I don't know if you have you used to read the European Court of Case Law, but don't hesitate. I will try to send you the relevant documents very quickly. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. So see you next week. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a
Bye,
nice
see you.
day.
Have a nice day too. Bye.